the artists I ever watched in the platform, you have the funniest and most interesting commentary. That's because, yeah, most of the artists aren't really focusing on commentating for their audience. They're just like drawing and shit. Most artists aren't giga autism maxing like I am. I am specifically qualified for saying interesting things because my brain filter is completely turned off, which allows me to say things that would socially be considered taboo, like in response to Polyman saying he just married Jessica in Dragon Quest 8, I might reply by saying, you should never betray your princess. Think of how you have hurt the princess's feelings. Jessica gets to be in human form the entire game, but the fucking horse is there, just like seething. I would never betray her. Even the ones that yap aren't that interesting is what I mean. Most artists are draw slaves, so they don't have the high IQ required to talk about futakak every 5 seconds like I do. Less entertaining, but probably way better for their workflow, LOL. I just sort of consider the time in which I'm streaming to be something in which I don't actually get anything done. I don't really expect anything good to happen during my stream. Although, I know like some manga artists, like Fujita Kazuhiro, absolutely have to be talking the entire time they're drawing shit. He has a big piece of paper in his studio that says, you're not allowed to not talk when you're working here. So some people need, like, the external speaking interaction or something, or else, I don't know, they can't fucking do it. Although I don't necessarily think that makes him work any faster, it's just like he can't help himself. The horse princess took too long to confess. Now she can watch her best friend get taken by another woman. Horse princess ovaries probably don't even work anymore after being morphed into a horse. If anything, I feel like her ovaries would be in just full active mode. Just 100% breeding mare. Twitch warned me this stream may be vulgar. Stay safe, guys. Anybody who says anything about massive futa-cock is getting banned, so don't worry. I won't let your pure ears be corrupted by disgusting concepts like huge, thick, veiny futa-cocks. Autopizory fellatio blowjob. The sad truth is most women don't actually have the ability to give paizuri, even though it seems like it's almost a standard move if you're reading your hentai, you know. Even women that it seems like they have huge titties in real life, if you look at it, like if they actually try and squish them together to give the paizuri, it often is only barely enough to actually get it around the dick. It's actually quite a large required amount of boobs before you can give paizuri. There's sort of a size requirement on both sides, to be honest. The hentai in which the woman has absolutely massive tits, but then the penis is also ridiculously massive, and she's like, wow, your dick is so big, it's coming outside of my boobs, is a Kino male power fantasy moment where you overcome the size of her massive mammaries with your even larger penis. It's something all men should strive for. Dicklets. Why aren't you doing your proper penis pumps? How do you expect to have a huge cock if you don't train your cock? Your dick muscles. There's always paizuri fail if you have zero boobage. I like it when there's so little boobs, you're scraping your penis on the uncomfortable feeling of her hard rib cage. It's just like, ah! It's like playing a xylophone. This isn't like my hentai at all. This is another example where the if we calculate based on the height from the front of the underwear, there's no way that this underwear would cover this much of the ass crack, realistically. Like, even if it's sloping downward, just look at where the side of the hips are. You should at least be able to see about like 70% of her ass crack, because the ass crack goes way up. This is something that manga and cartoons and shit do all the time, because it would be too indecent for them to show the amount of ass crack that you would see with the level of low-rise pants, but then they want to draw the low-rise pants. Nami is the #1 offender of this, by the way. Nami's jeans are so low that you would 100% be able to see a shit ton of her ass crack. Look at the calculation. If you have the panties to be so low-rise, you're only covering like this tiny triangle. Your ass crack goes up. If we draw through it, goes up all the way up to here, like based on the curvature of the way the hips go. So you'd be able to at least see like 4 or 5 inches of ass. But there are versions of sexy that are acceptable and not acceptable. And sometimes when you show too much ass crack, the editor is like, no, that's too much ass. Nami's post-time skip design outside of the long hair is pretty dumb. I mean, she gets a new outfit on for every new arc anyway, so does it even matter? I happen to be a fan of low-rise jeans, so I'm sort of okay with this. Honestly, I don't think there's anybody who likes the time skip designs of One Piece more than they like the initial designs, right? The entirety of One Piece started to go astray when Oda decided to do the time skip. And that was a result of Oda kind of feeling like he needed them to power up or something. So the sins of One Piece go all the way back to the initial setup of the devil fruit, and then having some abilities just be too overpowered, which resulted in weird power imbalances with Luffy's, rubber shit. Which resulted in time skip, it resulted in hockey, and it resulted in Luffy having to become like a weird god figure. The weak members got so shafted, it's easily the biggest fly in the ointment. I mean, the biggest fly in the ointment is that Oda let the whole thing go on for so long that all these structural flaws in the story started to become more and more prominent, to the point that he had to start to introduce more and more elements to cover for them. The lore is still fairly solid, but it definitely went way beyond the solid scope in terms of general storytelling and palatability. For people who still defend the current state of One Piece, I wonder what percentage of those people are actually reading the current state of One Piece, like on a actual weekly basis. Because I'm not one of them, but I do know that we're currently in a flashback within a flashback. and he's telling the flashback within a flashback multiple times from different characters' perspectives and different angles. So anybody who's like, trust me, One Piece will enter its climactic moment soon. We're approaching the end. I'm like, are you sure about that? Are you sure about that? Oh, if Oda's terrible at anything, it's brevity. I mean, it didn't used to be like that. We're seeing a good example of there's a saying among editors, manga editors, is that an editor's job is to not let the manga artist draw what they want to draw. Because when you let them, like, if you fully take them off the leash, basically they just go off into their own little, like, you know, their zone of what they like. It's a delicate balance between the editor keeping some amount of reins on the professional artists, but not trying to box them in too hard. That's why you should listen to us and draw more Fruta. You're not my editor. Editors are professionals that have to read 10 million shitty comics by the worst amateurs every day. They have to constantly endure untold amounts of psychological torture of reading shitty manga and then like somehow not be like, this manga is shit. I could never. Jokes aside, must be hard keeping that balance. For every manga that started to go off the rails because the author got too much freedom, there's probably like 5 manga in which the editor thought they had a grasp on the kind of energy the story needed and what like the public wanted, and it just absolutely fucking failed. So what is everyone up to? Reading Dune, it sucks. Dune is one of the very few like considered to be like canonical important sci-fi that I've actually properly read from beginning to end. It's okay. I don't really have particularly strong feelings for it one way or the other. I think it's an interesting concept, but ultimately, if you don't really care about the characters that much, you're not gonna... I'm not gonna spend much time on you. Of course, I'm not much of a novel person in the first place. There's not that many books where I absolutely obsess over, so... Ultimately, Dune is a good example of even the stuff that are considered to be like an amazing creation of the mind and like a completely different place, blah blah blah. Ultimately, it's better to just be like, my fictional world consists of fictional Arabia. Because, like, people can't really visualize stuff that doesn't exist completely. Sometimes I'll, like, read a fantasy novel and they're trying to make something up out of, like, completely nothing. And even if, like, the author thinks they have, like, all these cool ideas of this society, it's just really hard to visualize on the reader side. So it's better to just be like, this is not Viking land, this is not Arabian Nights land, this is not so on, so on. And just being like slight variations of what people already know. There's very, very few things that are just like, they present like a completely different world and the audience can follow it. Like, I think a lot of fantasy authors are like, I'm doing world building, this is so cool, but it just seems like wankery, ultimately. They're just jacking themselves off when they start talking about all their, like, complex novels and customs and shit like that. This is a weird shape right here. I guess, I don't know. This happens a lot when people try not to use Tolkien races. They end up being equivalents anyways. Yeah. Of course, now that the Tolkien estate has, like, copyrighted halfling or whatever, everybody has to think of, like, a slight different variation to call the short people something. Half-foots, light-foots, Just call them like straight up short stacks. We need to stop smoking and eating all day. We need to bring this ring to the volcano by next week. The thing about hobbits is they're more than just like, you know, the short stack race. But I've said this many times, but fantasy races and even sci-fi races, they just have, it's like, it's almost always this, except for some few exceptions where like humans are like the long lost legendary race or some shit like that. It's always like human as the standard, because the entire story has to revolve around humans because that's what your readers are. And then you go from there and you have a race that's more technologically advanced than humans and less technologically advanced than humans. You have the barbarian race and the non-barbarian race. And then you have the one that's taller than humans and the one shorter than humans, and the one that's stronger than humans and weaker than humans. And sometimes you combine a few of those onto the same. It's usually the one that's bigger and stronger than humans is the one that's also technologically less advanced, and so on and so on. And then sometimes the author is like, no, I have awesome original ideas, and it just ends up not working out. Because their awesome original ideas is just like, what if I do the opposite or something? I don't know. You'd think elves would be the most advanced. Elves are usually the most advanced. They have like some stupid ass elven magical technology bullshit. They can also be tree-loving savages, Avatar style. They're not savages, they just understand nature. As a human, I once looked down on insert Native American stand-in, but then once I truly learned their ways, I realized they were not less technologically advanced. I learned that they deeply respect the tree spirit and that gives them even more power, and that's why I've gone full native. And stuck my dick deep inside the blue pussy. So I don't understand why they didn't just use biological weapons to wipe out the blue monkeys. Don't overthink Avatar. Avatar is like the absolute pinnacle of just like consume product and then wait for the next product. It's funny because there's like no Avatar fan base, but it also gets like $1 billion of box office tickets because people just want to watch like the spectacle. You staying hydrated? You sound dead like Resident Evil 1 Zombie Dead. I always drink enough water, I would say. However, what was stopping them from just mining it in a desert where nothing lives? It's clear that Pandora has other biomes besides dense jungle. I mean, the truth is that even on a country or a planet that's as densely populated as Earth, there's more locations where there aren't any, humanoids living than there are ones where there are people living. So if you actually want to go to some place where nobody is around and you want to mine the shit out of it, it's probably pretty easy. However, that would destroy the whole plot, so we don't talk about that. What's up? He's locked in. This is why I watch. I finally figured out my pens, I think. I know I've said this like 30 times now at this point, but I've been like... The reason why I haven't really posted anything is because I've just been grinding in the lab for the last like 2 or 3 days, and I figured it out. I have my pens listed. These 4 right here is basically how I'm going to draw shit. They each have different functions. I can't figure out how like fluffy I want her hair to be, like the non-ponytail. Maybe this is a better, yeah. I finally figured out my pens versus next YouTube video. I would go explain, but I've already done this like a million times. So I've had this pen I've had for a long time. This is my brush pen that I use for long flowing lines. So I have it at the top because I use it for the hair. They are arranged in order from like top to bottom of hair, jaw, face, and then everything else. You'd be like, that's a lot of different pens you have just with like the top of the head, and then like everything else is like, that's quite a lot. But the way manga works is that people just, they look at the text bubbles, and then they look at the character's face, and then everything else you kind of like just glide your eyes over. So I do think that's sort of how you should think about it. Doesn't matter because I was going to be all black anyways. Turn this off. Anyways, I found this. This is called the Mameo Pen Thick Mameo. There's like this one guy who does art tutorials. Mainly he's like a guest on Proco. I'm sure you guys all know Proco, but it's this guy called Ryan Benjamin, and he's a DC artist. And his artwork doesn't look like mine at all, but every single time I just straight up copy whatever the fuck he's doing and whatever his advice is, it generally works out well for me. So I found out which he almost always works in analog, but I was able to find a video in which he was inking in digitally, and then he was using this pen. I was just like, what if I just do exactly what he's doing in terms of digital inking, and maybe that will just work out, and it kind of does. So this is a thin to thick pen, and by thin to thick I mean it's best when you do these kinds of lines where you put the line down hard and then you drag it and then you get like this thin area and then you connect the thick to the thick. The opposite would be these thick to thin pens where you're kind of flicking and then you sometimes have to like backhand. See, the way inking works is you're creating these like thick areas and then thin areas, and this thick to thin creates this feeling of like tension. Like the thin area feels like it's expanding and then like the thick area feels like it's a base. So like if you have a circle like this, it feels like this part, there's like tension on this part, like it's popping out like a water balloon. And this is how you kind of create like the kind of lines and stuff like that. Like for example, if we look at this DC artwork right here, like they're not doing too much of that. It's called Iri and Nuki if you buy manga terms, but even there, if you look at the lines, like say the bridge of the nose here versus the bottom of the nose. The bottom of the nose, this hard black and these hard blacks, they kind of served as anchors for the thinner parts up here. So then the question is, how are you going to do the thick parts and then the thin parts in your inking process? And then there's these pens digitally that feel closer to markers, where it's kind of like you push in and then that creates like these thick parts. And there's the ones that feel like the dip pens, where you can still, like even if I push it in, it kind of becomes like one thick line. So it's better if I just go like this and you kind of flick it. So that's sort of the theory behind it. But I was having a lot of difficulty trying to figure out what feels comfortable to my hand versus like what looks good versus what's fast. Those are the three elements you kind of have to think about. So I was doing all of these inking tests, and I ultimately came to the conclusion that I could use this kind of thin to thick sort of marker-like pen style that Ryan Benjamin was using for this stuff. If you look at these lines, and then you do like double and triple lines to thicken it, because it gets super thin if you're moving your hand fast enough, and you just like double up the lines. And that was something that basically Ryan Benjamin was talking about, and I was like, I should try that. Because I had been doing double lines before at some points, but like you're not told to do that in any of the manga text, like the manga tutorials, because manga tutorials is all about the dip pen, like the G pens and stuff. Kind of comes natural that you want to pull the line twice anyways. Yeah, but you don't do that for like other types of pens, like these G pen stuff. When you're doing this, you don't pull the lines twice. Usually you just flick it once. So I combine those two. I still haven't really decided what I want to do for like the lines for the body lines, because those should be like super flowy. Like this. I've been primarily practicing drawing images of clothed people. And this pen is better for those type of clothing shit, but I'm not sure what I want to do for... I need to draw a bunch of bikini-clad girls just to figure this shit out. I've spent so much time thinking about what pens I want to use and what I can do, how I can make inking quick and efficient. So much time. That's basically been my number one thing that I've been trying to figure out for the past like 6 months, I'd say. It kind of dictates everything you do. Also, I'm going to draw the face at a very early stage because I feel like the facial expression kind of dictates everything else. Like the rest of the pose and stuff, so... Some people draw the face, save the face for later, but I think I kind of believe like that once you have the general positioning of everything down, you should draw the most important parts of the drawing first. And then sort of craft the rest of the stuff around that part. I haven't decided how much eyeshadow I want to give her yet. It should be quite a lot, of course. use helmets instead to hide the face. Headwear. If you're a Japanese anime person who can't draw faces, you draw the same anime face every single time, and then you just change the hair of the characters to differentiate between them. Is it even anime if chin is not pointy? I feel like the current anime isn't as obsessive about having pointy chins. I feel like current anime is like they have somewhat pointy, but it's just kind of like this. And then there's more emphasis on like making sure that it's like super like childish head shape. I feel like this is the current anime style, and it's much more wider than it used to be. Like maybe about this much. Kind of like this. I feel like this is a current anime head. If you're going to learn how to draw in 2022 and you want to be an animator, you have to be able to draw current anime head style, whatever. It's always soft faces nowadays, the same shit. Yeah, it's in high contrast to Western character designs in which they make the stuff like the jaw angle extremely sharp, which I'm doing right now. The sharper the angles, the sharper, like, not just the angles, but like everything, the more pointy shit feels, the less feminine it feels. Which is why Western comics often end up with hyper-masculine female characters that nobody can jack off to. One must be careful. This is a little too much cheek right here. I really don't like the Cora Lights Vox Machina faces. I really don't like it either. I feel like since the 90s we've had this distinct segment of non-Japanese animators who have been influenced by anime style but can't actually draw anime style and have the incorrect understanding of what anime style is, and then like they create these sort of abominations that like the Western audience thinks is anime but is not anime and is just like a clearly inferior version of anime, and it lasts for a very long time and stays around for a very long time. The head still needs to be even bigger, actually. Kind of went overboard on the head size being a little too small. Good thing about digital is you can always adjust it as much as you want. There are no mistakes in digital. No happy accidents. Just endless adjustments. I like Western failed anime when they were making these cool early 2000s haircuts. How to draw anime, the complete guide shows image of like a horrible abomination. Oh, holy shit, we Americans suck cock at drawing Asian characters and women. Let me draw a DC Comics version of Asian character. Asian female character, by the way. So, for some reason, Americans have decided that Asians are beautiful if they look like Lucy Liu. There's a reason why Lucy Liu was like the only Hollywood Asian uh, person cast in Hollywood movies for like 20 years. Because for some reason, this like ultra giga slanty eyed and then like super high cheekbone is what the Westerns decided was like an appropriate looking Asian. And Lucy Liu hits all of the points. But the number one way you can tell that a location set in Japan is being drawn by American is because for some reason they don't understand the concept of a properly curved katana. This is the same thing for like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, or whenever Wolverine goes to Japan to fuck his, Japanese wife or whatever, because he's a fucking weeaboo. They will draw a fucking perfectly straight katana. They do not understand the concept of a curved sword and why you actually need a curvature in your sword in order to like slice things properly. Apparently this is like too complicated for Western artists, or like they're told that they have to like simplify everything by making everything straight, but they will draw the fucking straight katana. Curved katana is too saber-like. You gotta make it more oriental. Yo. The answer is just give up, I guess. There is no way in which the Western artist can accurately portray Japan, so I like Ninja Toe but hate them being called katana. Ninja Toe is a made-up concept. I could go into the various types of katana and tachi and shit like that. You actually have to know that stuff if you draw manga, because it's very easy to run into the actually people. They're not as bad as the American actually gun people, but there is a group of Japanese sword incels that will point out your inaccurate sword anatomy if you're trying to like draw actual fiction, like historical fiction or something, and you fuck up the sword. You will get actually by the Japanese sword incels. It's very painful. Marvel draws all their female Asian characters like Pocahontas woman. Yeah, Pocahontas is another good example. Ironically, Mulan is not, but Pocahontas, it's the high cheekbones, which is a racial trait that Japanese do not have, but Americans still, even in 2026, I don't think they could tell the difference between like Asians from the continent and Asians of Japan and stuff like that. But the very high cheekbones and like square jaws, primarily like a Korean and like northern Mongolian type trait. And some Japanese share it because the yaoi type Japanese, some of them, they came from the continent, but most Japanese have very round faces. It's actually kind of how you can tell Zainichi Koreans and stuff like that in Japan, is how they have the jaw and the cheekbones. And by Western standards, that's a plus, but by traditional Japanese beauty standards, like Tale of Genji, where Tale of Genji female is supposed to look like this, right? Giga hair. But it's important that you have this extremely round ass face. The rounder the face, the better. Actually, I underestimated. It's not just like round. You kind of have to like go full gourd style. Here we go. Yeah, it's it's like this. What an incomparable beauty. I can feel my cock getting rock hard as I think of seasonal poetry and cherry blossoms. The difference between modern anime and classic Heian period, the biggest difference is they really liked having this very large nose in the center of the face. Japanese noses are not that big. That's some Zionist propaganda right there. People complained a lot about May not looking Asian at all when it released. May is too fat to be Asian, but we're just assuming that she's fat because all the chubby chasers was like, is she wearing a jacket? I cannot see the body of this female. That means if she takes off the jacket, she's incredibly thick. I know this in my heart. And eventually the May body weight index keeps on going up and up and up to the point that she probably weighs like 250 pounds right now in the porn community. But it's much more likely that she's just wearing a puffy jacket. We don't think about that though. Asians tend to have more flat faces. Japan, in particular, has flat faces and then flat. The back of the head is flat. They have a very unaesthetic skull shape if you shave their head off, their hair off. Nothing cute about being a lard ass. That's not what the architects online think. They need that fat or else they can't come. I really shouldn't spend so much time on the rough draft because I'm just gonna redraw a bunch of shit when I get into the inking stage anyways. I really can't tell what it is I like, what it's the end result is gonna turn up like until I actually put in the black lines. Like it really doesn't matter how much time I spend drawing all those like semi-transparent rough draft lines until I actually like commit with some sort of black lines. Obviously that wouldn't work if I wasn't working digitally, but I really think I should just go much to the black lines much quicker. Gotta have the Asian girl with a strip of dyed hair. Suck at designing Asians, always have. I have a personal vendetta against Sofia Coppola, specifically for making Lost in Translation. I was listening to a podcast on like the most rewatchable movies of since like 2000 or whatever, and of course Lost in Translation was in it, and I was thinking Lost in Translation is probably one of like the top on my list is like things that are like sneakily racist that nobody ever like understands why it's racist. Like I wouldn't have to spend so much time shitting on it if like the rest of Hollywood would recognize how insanely racist it is, but Hollywood is completely incapable of understanding when they're being like racist against Asians. Like it just doesn't register. But Lost in Translation being like, Japan, this magical country that's so foreign and untouchable. I don't understand anything going on, but it's also the place where there's all this wacky nightlife. Oh, look at all the wacky Asians. Look, Japanese female with her dyed hair. Oh, the Japanese, they're so wacky. Is like, it's like patient zero for the current version of over tourism Japan, where all the gaijin are showing up and they're doing pull-ups on torii gates and stuff like that. It's basically like Japan is like a theme park. Out of all the minorities, they are the worst with Asians. So when Hollywood does blacks, they're always like, wait, I will create the movie that solves racism. Hashtag Green Book or whatever. They're still fucking doing it, even in the modern era. It's like, don't worry. We'll have racism, but white guy will solve it by telling the football team to play hard and stuff. But when it comes to Asians, like, they don't even understand the concept of, like, racism toward Asians. They're like, sure, this novel is about this woman going to Hawaii. We'll definitely cast a white actress for it. I don't see the problem. People will enjoy the movie more with this white actress. It's like, oh boy. The mysterious allure of the Orient. It must be like both mysterious and impossible to understand, but also like conquerable as a white man. Did the movie with what's his name? I'm forgetting his name. The guy who was out of Hollywood for the longest time because he went fat. Brendan Fraser, was that his name? As like a rental white guy where he solves Japanese social problems by being a white guy available. And they're like, oh, thank God I have this white guy to serve as my stand-in father. Did that come out? I know I saw some previews for it. Brendan Fraser rental family. Oh, see, here we go. See, they literally start the trailer with being like, look, here's the wacky Japanese commercial featuring white guy. Oh, whack, Japan, so wacky and crazy. We will never understand their wacky white guy commercials. The problem is that they actually do feature, commercials like this with white guys. So you can't get too angry about it.
The market here isn't the same anymore. It's half the rate, twice the work. But I got you a gig and the pay is actually pretty good.
What's my part?
See, there we go. There's the other, like, look, we're in Shibuya. Look how crowded and urban it is. Such a dense Japan. You can never penetrate the crazy urban power of this location that nobody actually goes to because nobody fucking goes to Shibuya unless it's like Halloween.
What do you think we do here? We sell emotion.
How?
We play roles in the client's lives. Parents, siblings.
This movie was boring as fuck. I fell asleep.
And help them connect to what's missing.
I'm just an actor. I don't know how to help people.
What I'm offering here is a chance to play roles with a real meaning.
What do you need me for?
What do you need him for?
White guy. This girl needs a father.
Hi, Mia. I'm your father.
I'm your father.
That's like such a fucking bizarre concept. Is that you're gonna hire a white commercial actor to pretend to be their father? It's insane.
Things you won't understand.
Anyways, that's enough Brendan Fraser using the power of being a white guy in Japan to solve social problems. The white savior shit is overdone? What are you talking about? We're gonna solve racism by being a white guy in Japan or also being understanding black man to racist white person. Do we need to watch the Driving Miss Daisy preview next? How many of you guys saw Green Book? Green Book is like pretty high on my list of like your boomer parents watched it and they're like, I love that movie. And I'm like, please never talk about this shit again. My mother literally went to watch Green Book and she was like, I liked it a lot. I was like, you have horrible taste in movies, Mom, and I haven't even seen this movie. Don't they have a rent-a-oji-san for real, though? Yes, the rental oji-san exists so they can do menial work like fix bicycles or something. I don't know. Way more than renting oji-san, what Japan actually has is rent a Joshikose high school girl. That's what they tend to have. And by rent, I mean prostitution. Aragon and his black driving buddy, yes. I have not seen it, but I know that they solve racism in the Green Book. It's crazy that Hollywood is still making those movies, even like recent years, but they just can't help themselves. I can't remember which Academy Awards it was, but remember there was like a specific Academy Awards in which Hollywood basically took credit for the civil rights movement. It's Oscar bait movies, and it works. That's the crazy thing. I forgot what Green Book won, but didn't win, like, I know it was nominated for Oscars, right? Because boomers like to jack off to the idea that they fix racism. That really does come what it comes down to. It's fucking boomers. A lot of the things that we find annoying or just like, why is this still around in life, is just like boomer issues. I know that saying, I can't wait for all the boomers to be dead, also includes like my parents being dead, and that will mean me getting financially cut off, etc. as well, but whatever social issues we have, like endemic systemic problems we have in society, they can all only be cured after the boomers are going to be dead. Whether it's like overspending on, you know, stuff for old people, like, you know, Social Security and Medicare and shit like that, or like, why are they voting for this thing? And it's like, yeah, it's just the boomers again. There'll be new problems in society once the boomers are all dead and gone, but at least we'll be done with like whatever problems that are being directly caused by the voting and financial power of the boomers, at least. Unfortunately, a lot of that will just be like inherited by the fucking millennials, and then we'll have like goddamn millennials and their stupid fucking millennial issues, but at least we'll be done with the boomers. Financially cut off, you're gonna inherit your parents' stuff, bro? What you mean? Don't assume that. My mother might donate all her money to like some sort of cat safety non-profit or some shit. I don't know. What the fuck was in the water in the 1940s? Lead, because of the lead that was put in their gasoline. I am one of the people that, I like the theory that, like, a lot of the violent crime that was caused was just like a direct result of there being too much lead in gasoline. There's these maps that look at like inner city neighborhoods with the highest rates of violent crime, and like there's like a 1-to-1 ratio between the areas that still have the most lead paint pollution and like the place where there's the most like crime and stuff. It's really interesting. Lead fucks with your brain, and it makes you like more difficult to control impulses and stuff like that. I can't remember. I assume that most will spend it on hospital bills when they're too old and sick in their final years. Yes, that's also a problem. It's like, oh, my parents have so much retirement money, and then like if they get sick, like all of that money evaporates in hospital bills. If your parents just don't die immediately, like whatever savings or inheritance that you think is coming to you might just evaporate with the power of the medical system. That's always a thing. Do not rely on inheritance. That can go very poorly very quickly. Old folks have lead poisoning. We have microplastics in our balls. We're all fucked. Surely having the equivalent of a spark inside our brain and testicles will not have any poor effects on our long-term health. Am I right, millennials? There's no way that could result in anything bad happening to us. I mean, it's just a little bit of plastic in our brain. How bad could it truly be? Alright, shall we draw the bats? At least we know that the rich fuck have plastic in their balls as well. If anything, they probably have more plastic in their balls, because like guys like Elon are probably like injecting some sort of special serum to make them extremely powerful, and then he fails and now his dick doesn't work or something like that. Mine is one step closer to it. My dad broke his foot 2 days ago because he was stubborn and moving shit by himself. Yeah. The old people being in denial of the fact that they're old and frail and they're very close to dying and telling themselves they can carry this massive cardboard box full of books and stuff down the basement staircase and then breaking their hip and then forcing you to take care of them for the next, like, 12 months as they slowly recover from their debilitating injury is a ritual that every millennial's children are going to have to go through. They are in so much fucking denial about the fact that they have like osteoporosis and shit. It just makes everything way harder. No matter how many times you're like, please stop trying to do that thing that is physically bad for you. They're like, no. It's just like it was back in 1972. I haven't aged a single day. I still got it, just like I did back in Woodstock. I'm still basically in my 40s. Uncle, aren't you 40? You'll join them soon? Yes, that's why I'm saying that I am trying to learn from their mistakes and make sure that I don't, like, carry heavy object when I shouldn't be carrying heavy object. That's the thing. They're in denial. Boomers will be in denial until the day in which they fucking die about, like, their potency as human beings and how important their cultural contribution to society was, and so on and so on. Did I tell you he went MIA back in early September? Motherfucker went to Burning Man. He's 79. The sad part is that he was probably like one of 100,000 other giga boomers who are still fucking going to Burning Man and shit. I'm sure he wasn't the only, like, 80 octogenarian out there going to Burning Man. That's the problem. It's not just like one guy. It's like all of them. They all think they're young. You also exercise and eat high-protein yogurt, a thing no boomer ever did. At least the insane amount of old people in Japan are aging gracefully. Or more like they have to, because Japanese society is still dependent on their labor. It's like, no, they're either forcing... What happens is they force the old people to retire, from like their official kaisha salaryman job, but then like they get secondary jobs as the person that's waving cars at construction site because they don't know a lifestyle in which they don't have a job, so they can't stop working. Most of the people there are in their late 30s, 40s, but there were some older folks there. He met up with some 39-year-old woman. I wonder the amount of drugs he did. The Japanese version of old person going to Burning Man and possibly dying because they did too much LSD or something is the Japanese old person is going and climbing a mountain. Mountain climbing became, unfortunately, very popular among old people in Japan recently, and every time an old person fucks up climbing a mountain, they have to call in the Japanese SDF to fly a helicopter to save their ass. And it costs you like $100,000 because, you know, you have to mobilize like 50 people to save their ass off the mountain. It's like the number one fear if you're a young person in Japan with aging parents is hearing that they didn't come back from the mountain and now you have to like spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to save their fucking ass. Mountains need extra bears. It's really not the bears that kill you. Just going onto the mountain in general is enough to kill you. People really underestimate how quickly, like, you can just get hypothermia when you're exposed up on the mountain. It's, like, within, like, 5 minutes. So, and that's not even counting, like, all the whole, like, getting lost and shit. Go on mountain, get lost, get hypothermia, die. The classic combo. You'd think people would learn, but they do not. Old people dying on a hike is actually a fairly common thing. If you're old, like, young people dying on the mountain is actually a fairly common thing. Like, 3,000 people died from mountain climbing, I think, in Japan in, like, 2025 or something. It's somewhere up there in that level of numbers that we're talking about. Let's actually look it up. Maybe it wasn't 3,000. Okay, it's not that high. It's the AI overview. We're saying it's basically about 1,000 incidents, or 800 incidents, 900 people that actually went missing, and then only like 54 actually died or disappeared. So it's not that high. Let's look up the number of traffic accidents. There were 2,500 traffic accidents death in Japan. In 2025. Which is pretty fucking low, I'll say, for a country with the population of Japan. Japanese drivers are really good at driving. If you're someone who goes jogging in America and you come to Japan and like you just instinctively stop if you see a car anywhere around you because you assume they're not going to see you and run you over, the Japanese drivers always see you and they always stop. Like even if you're just like way outside of there, like if they're trying to make a turn into the intersection in America, if they see like there's like less than half a second of speed in which like you're approaching the intersection and they have like any kind of opening, they're going to try and make that turn. In Japan, even if like you're way off in the distance and it's going to take you like 20 seconds for you to cross the intersection, they're still going to stop. It's like the exact opposite. It's very interesting. You have to take so many driving tests to get a license in Japan. The driving test infrastructure does not fuck around. That shit would never happen here in Colombia. They would accelerate. Yeah, I think it also is that way for like Florida and depending on the state in America. There are clearly states that are worse at driving in America than there are at like other states. Florida is like famous for just like, I guess Florida is famous for everything, but like there are American drivers who basically think that if there's a pedestrian walking in their space of like, you know, the space in front of their car, it's like a personal insult to them and they have to run the pedestrian over. It's like a personal fuck you. Get out of the space in front of me. I must now murder you kind of feeling. Chicago drivers are unhinged. Yeah, I wonder what is the worst driving state. That's one of the things that you should try asking AI. What is the U.S. state with the worst driving habits? Oh, interesting. Hawaii is frequently ranked as having the worst behaved drivers in the U.S., driven by high rates of speeding, failure to use turn signals, and distracted driving. I assume it's because everyone is high. Other studies identify Massachusetts, Colorado, or Mississippi as having the worst drivers, depending on whether the metrics emphasize traffic fatalities, insurance claims, or self-reported reckless behavior. That's interesting. It's funny because, like, every place is so bad, people just, like, assume that the area they live in has the worst drivers. But there's probably places that are even worse. America truly has some horrible fucking drivers. Drunk tourists and lots of lifted trucks, yeah. The combination of drinking a large amount of alcoholic coconut-flavored beverages, plus also smoking weed, plus also being a surfer or something. Hawaii motherfuckers live on active volcano. They for real don't give a fuck. Hawaii is like, if you go there, you probably have a different mentality. Just because it's always nice and sunny, it probably contributes to like a sense of invincibility, plus just like not giving a fuck, which is probably not what you want if you're a pedestrian and the person in front of you driving the truck is not giving a fuck. Hilo is rainy as fuck. I've only been to Hawaii, like, I think twice, I think. I was there for one of my cousin's weddings, and then I think I might have been there one other time, but I am not a Hawaii expert. Nor do I want to be. It felt very weird going there, honestly. I don't like places that are too sunny and warm and nice with a shit ton of tropical flowers. It's just not my... It's not my groove. It's only acceptable if it's the first level of an RPG. If you're in a JRPG, you have to start by being in a sunny, comfortable place, and then when you get to like 75% of the story, you get to like the tundra zone, the cold frozen mountain. You don't really start in the cold frozen area ever. We must travel to the World Tree after making our scantily clad female characters traverse the Winter Mountains. Yes, don't worry, we'll have a hot spring scene during the Winter Mountain traversal. I don't understand the Batman head shape. It's shocking that a guy with such a dumb costume can become like one of the most valuable superheroes of all time. If you like look at his costume from a purely objective standpoint, it looks incredibly fucking stupid. He has these little, you know, cute little pointy ears on his head. Like this guy with these little cute ears is like, I am the darkness. They're like, oh my god, it's the bat! The bat! Oh god, he's gonna murder me! Don't worry, I don't kill you. I just break your neck. It's way more merciful. I would never kill anyone. I just give them irreversible brain damage by punching them. It's pretty funny how, all the way up until pretty recently, we just thought that, like, quote-unquote, getting knocked out was no big deal. It's like, don't worry, your brain's just shutting off. The completely non-lethal act of giving you a concussion is, it's perfectly fine. Nothing bad will happen as a result. Now get back out there on the field, soldier. We got a football game to win. That one Bruce Timm art of Harley making out with an erect Batman just flashbanged my brain. No, Batman! Don't be tempted by the Clussy. Your penis is for Dick Grayson only. Only homosexual relationships with young orphans that you have taken under your wing. You must not be tempted by the Clussy. It's wrong. How clean-shaven is Bruce? Is he always like 100% clean-shaven when he's in his Batman chin getup? Because I'm looking at some of these images and sometimes he goes with like a little bit of stubble. Like when he's being extra edgy. He has a tiny bit of stubble. Some stubble if he's a little unhinged. Well, considering he's about to be raped by a clown, maybe we should give him a little bit of stubble. I feel like American comic book style is just easier to draw than having like a proper manga style, because you just need to do like proper realism, and it's so established in terms of like what you want to do at every single point in terms of like the style and like what shit looks like, you know? Like there's a million other authors who have already drawn Batman, so you just need to like follow what they've decided on. What's difficult about art is there isn't any real like there's no like correct answer usually. So when there already is a correct answer by like what people have established before you, it suddenly makes everything way easier. There's no correct answers in art, but there are mistakes, is what I would like to say. There are clearly situations where you're like, ooh, I shouldn't have made that choice. That was a bad choice. Well, there isn't necessarily like a correct way to do things. Ugh. Let's see, how is my CPU temperature right now? It's varying wildly between 84 and 65. What the fuck? I guess I really do need to get that shit cleaned out with both of its fans running at full. I do not need to clean up the disk. Fix your PC, dog. It's not broken. It's just a little overheatery. And White Knight Joker, with the help of Sane Harley, he's cured of insanity and becomes an upstanding member of society. And Batman becomes unhinged and thinks it's a trick so much they flip roles. Batman is always unhinged, though. Let's not pretend like he wasn't unhinged in like when he's in his normal situation. He's a fucking billionaire who hides in a underground lair that he calls his fucking bat cave and goes around wearing a stupid black suit and like punching people in the middle of the night. How can he be anything but unhinged? The man is about as unhinged as it comes. If you're like someone like Superman, you probably feel like some kind of obligation to help society just because you're born being way more powerful than everyone. But Batman's only excuse is because, no, my parents are dead. Do you have a stand that would allow for some aeration? Yeah, I have one of those, like, you know, set up, what do you call them? The fan things that you put underneath. I have my laptop on my bed, so I definitely need to have it elevated, or else it would be, like, overheating even if the CPU wasn't, you know... Even if it was properly cleaned, if I had it directly sitting on top of my futon, then, like, it's in deep trouble in terms of heating, but I at least have that. It's probably funnier if I make him needlessly super ripped. Also, he needs to be freaking out more. It's funny how things could transition from Adam West Batman to modern Batman. Yeah. I guess it was bound to happen just based on the theme of his character, right? He's supposed to be like preying on the fears of the superstitious criminal element of the city or whatever. Honestly, Batman is... The more edgier Batman is, probably the better he is, just as a character. May as well go full edgelord. Watch the 2004 Batman TV show. It holds up nice and slick. I only watch classic Warner Brothers Batman. Like the cartoon. Batman Beyond was really good. Batman Beyond I never watched because I think it was on after I got out of my watch afternoon cartoons phase. But based on when people requested content from it from me, I know it's just like sexy female shows up, she's evil. Which is, relevant content for me. I'm struggling to try and figure out how I want to draw Batman's eyebrow expression underneath the mask. DC is really trying to make people forget Catwoman started as a streetwalker whose sister was a nun. Her first arc was learning martial arts to beat her pimp. I never found Catwoman interesting. In fact, I never found most of DC interesting. Catwoman had no chemistry with Batman. When does she have chemistry with Batman? Nobody has chemistry with Batman besides Alfred. Especially like the concept of Robin. It certainly does not work if we're going to have Batman be like a brooding billionaire. Like that version of Bruce Wayne would not be have like a orphaned circus teen homosexual love interest chilling in the Bat Manor. It just doesn't make any sense. Bruce Selina shippers are forever cucked now that Damian is a thing. Personally, all I care about is who's on top, Bruce or Clark. Just a hot gay Fujoshi sponsored homosexual hate fucking between Batman and Superman. Can Clark resist Bruce cock when Batman has had prep time and has been able to prepare a kryptonite condom? Superman, you've tried hard to resist my penis penetration of your anus, but you did not calculate on me obtaining this kryptonite condom. Now you are powerless. No discriminations on Batman harem of waifus. Isn't that like nobody? You don't get to claim a waifu if your only relationship with them is that, like, when Joker is a loose, every once in a while you run into random cat burglar lady on the rooftop or something. I don't think that counts as a waifu. Don't forget pink kryptonite makes Superman gay. Is that the actual excuse of, Wait, what was Superman's gay son? What happened to that arc? Was Superman's gay son just gay naturally, or did he become gay because of too much pink kryptonite? I remember that being in the news, that Superman's son is gay, and I was like, man, they really are out of stories, aren't they? Moira Raid. Moa Raid. Oh no, we're being raided, guys. I literally never use the raid system. Probably because I don't really engage with the Twitch viewership anymore. They've been out of stories since the 90s. What if, hold on, let me think of a new Batman story. What if, Batman is, he's secretly evil. I don't know. I'm sure they've done that like 30 times now. Batman goes to Burning Man. How about that? Batman goes to Burning Man and he uses a lot of drugs. They rebooted the main timeline twice in less than 10 years. Is the new timeline called Absolute? Is that why people keep on asking me to draw Absolute this, Absolute that? Someone else asked me to draw Absolute Zatanna or whatever. Absolute is a spin-off. What's the current timeline called? I think this hand is wrong. I usually draw the hands before I draw the arm, but I think I might have to draw the arm first. More like this. Absolute is like the Dark Universe, some side project people are overhyping. Is it going on right now? Is that people are asking me to draw, why people ask me to draw Absolute characters? So it goes New 52. And then what's the one after New 52, that when they tried to reboot it again? I knew that DC wasn't for me when they were trying to reboot New 52, and I saw like an image online of the way they were going to reboot it was like have Superman punch the universe super hard. So hard that it resets all the timelines. And I'm just like, bro, what the fuck? Does everything have to revolve around Superman? I was like, yes, it does. You sound like such a boomer sometimes. LOL, stupid people asking me to draw Absolute Antenna or whatever. The life of an artist is you being like, I'm an artist, and people being like, please draw Sailor Moon for my child. And you're like, yes, of course. Do you want me to also draw Luffy as well? The lowest version of this is doing pet portraits for people. Please draw my dog. And you're like, of course. Your Labradoodle is incredibly beautiful, ma'am. She looks just like you. The crotch center line is a little bit off. Right here. Should go like right here, like this. So then this leg is off. Cat or couples drawings, yes. To be fair, this is the exact same thing that artists were being forced to do for hundreds of years if you wanted to survive. It was like you would have to find your Medici patron and then you draw them like with a lion skin, wearing a lion skin or something, and they'd be like, oh, you look so regal, sir. It's only recent in which we're like, we value an artist's creativity. They must have interesting look on the universe or whatever, instead of being like, draw slave, make me look extra hot in this image. Average commissioner being like, please, you must make the futa cock bigger. New 52, 2011, DC Rebirth, 2016, Infinite Frontier, DC All In, 2024. Wait, are every single one of those like complete reboots of the universe, or are they just like calling it something new? Because that kind of changes the perspective. I know that New 52 was like a hugely publicized, no guys, We're definitely resetting the timeline completely. Now is a great time for, you know, new consumers to get on. Trust us, you'll completely understand what's happening. Kind of moments, but or is every single one of those like a complete universe reset? Because if it is, that's fucking horrendous. No wonder manga is kicking American comics ass. Like, how the fuck can anyone possibly follow that shit? Holy fuck. Can't wait to be rich to make artists draw an insane amount of stupid shit while I'm dressed in gold-encrusted Renaissance clothes while sipping from my bottle of wine. Theoretically, if all you want is just image production, we can just do all of that with AI right now. It's interesting how, with like photos and stuff, you'd think that the whole concept of portraiture would be dead, and yet there are people who are like, I need to draw a portrait of my dog. It's like, why? Why do you need a portrait of your dog? But that's just the way it is in this godforsaken earth. I despise AI. I don't despise AI, but if all of my customers despise AI, I can't use it, so... Also, it doesn't ever actually give me the image I want it to give me, so it's kind of worthless. The millionth AI discussion in which I'm like, yeah, it's not good enough. Everyone can afford to do that with AI. I want to live enslaved to do it for me. It's about the sake of the cost more than the product itself. That is kind of what commissions are, if we're going to be 100% honest. If you just want an image, then you can just go to AI or anything, really. You can just copy-paste a pre-existing image on top of the body of your furry character or whatever. But it's the status of getting a internet artist to draw that image for you that's important. Your mom sounds like she'd want drawings of her cat. Yes, but she already has a million drawings of her cat. It's honestly very unhealthy how she worships this one specific cat over all the other cats that she's had. I keep on calling her out for it because she has like a weird altar of this one cat. She has very clearly has preferences for the cat she likes the most. She's not one of those parents who like, I don't have a favorite son. It's like, well, you definitely have a favorite cat. I'm glad I don't have any siblings, because she'd probably do a pretty good job of... a poor job of hiding which one was her favorite. Is the cat that's still alive or a dead one? This one is dead one. One of the things I enjoy the most right now of being allowed to live alone is not having to live with the current cat that is alive in my mother's house, because holy shit, that cat is demanding. Just like endlessly complaining. It's hard to decide the amount of abdominal muscles I want. Harley to have. That's what I'm doing right now. How much rib cage do you want to show? How much abs do you want to show? You know what's truly aesthetically unpleasing? Non-symmetrical ab muscles, which is apparently very common among people, but I will never draw that. You're kind of fucked as a bodybuilder if your abs aren't symmetrical, I bet. That's aesthetically just a death sentence. I remember you mentioning her being very needy, unlike the outside one. Rest in peace, Ginger. Yeah, Ginger is the one that my mother worships. Can't wait for 2049 when Neo Medici unveil their Futa-cock in the moonlight by BaalBud in their mall palace. I think that... I don't know if Medici actually... Did they commission stuff that wasn't just like one of them wearing like a regal outfit? I also wouldn't be able to draw a Futa-cock in the moonlight because that would require me to be able to do lighting and coloring and stuff like that, so... You have a weird mom. Old woman being a cat lady, there's nothing weird about that, unfortunately. It's a very common personality trait. Pet owners are fucking batshit crazy when it comes to their favorite pets. Don't ask average boomer who they love more, their house cat slash lapdog or their children, because you might not be happy with their answer if you're one of their children and hoping they're going to give you an inheritance. Don't set up your entire inheritance to go to your pet challenge for boomers. Difficulty impossible. Can you add redeems, man? I'm sitting on 90,000 of nothing here. Hystrixia, add some way to redeem points to this channel. Oh wait, I think I took away all of your mod abilities. Or maybe that was just the Discord. I cannot be bothered to learn how to allow you people to redeem your points for something. Can't you use it to like highlight messages? I can't remember. At least give us the timeout constrictor redeem? No. I only timeout constrictor for good reasons, like when he's mildly annoying. You guys would abuse that power and time him out for saying something like Futa-cock. And that would be wrong. Highlight my message. 100. So you can highlight all of your messages for the next 50 years or something. Isn't that cool? Just make chat incredibly difficult to read with all of the messages always being constantly highlighted. this. You could just add an art request redeem for like 100,000 or so. I will not add that. Channel points do not give me money to buy food. You know how many subs I have? You know how many fucking subs I have? 36. That's not much. 36 times 2.5 a month? Yeah, we ain't eating much for that. Also, I don't see any sub badge here. So, yeah. Hanging out in this stream provides me with basically no financial sustenance, so... I value your channel points about as much as I value my, just like random people showing up in the channel being like, give me futa cock. It's not, you know... It means nothing. You think just because you have enough time to be sitting in chat all day, that somehow is beneficial to me? It is not. Subs mod check? Yeah. Spare some fruta cock, sir? Just a little. Please, sir, I'm dying out here. May I just have just a tiny bit of the fruta cock? I have children at home. They haven't had fruta cock in years. Wishy wishy, thanks for the sub. I appreciate your support. Also, I've noticed that the people who are actually subbed are much more likely to just not be the people who are talking in chat. This is the same for the Patreon. The people who like financially support me are like the least vocal. The ones that are like the loud minority are the ones who don't actually like usually give me money. They're like completely different fan bases. This is a good like wake up call for corporations and stuff as well. It's the people that are screaming in Twitter about how like they won't buy the game probably are not the people who are going to buy your video game in the first place. The loud minority is not the people who are giving you money. Your customers are probably the people that don't say anything in the first place. And when they stop giving you money, they don't say anything either there. Which is why you have to be very careful about what you're implementing. Your actual customers, when they leave, they just leave without saying anything. The people who are bitching and moaning are the ones that are going to stay around because the whole bitching and moaning process is in itself a form of entertainment for them. A vocal minority is in the case everywhere in every situation in the internet usually. Yep. Do not listen to the loudest voices online. That's what we have to learn from these experiences. People can't be bothered to lurk. Or people can't be bothered to speak and stream. They'd much rather lurk. Especially the people who have money. People who have money probably have the stream on in the background and are like doing work while they like have it on in the background, which is why they have money. The people who have the time to be like constantly typing in chat are the ones that like don't have cash. I know this because I've done this by myself. The streams in which I've like typed shit into are the ones that I would never be planning to sub in the first place. Don't listen to any voice in the internet. Honestly, they are either a Twitter user or a bot. Usually both. Have you guys noticed that Twitter is like 100 times more unusable because of bots than it used to be? Like, it was never great, but it's way worse. Like in the past, I don't know, month and a half or so. Maybe not even a month and a half, like maybe a year, I don't know. But it's especially noticeable if you are on the Japanese part of Twitter. So if I open up Twitter and I go for the For You, and I find like a funny Japanese manga post that's being recommended to me with 90,000 likes. This is a questioning corner, and a person's like, I have had sex with my younger brother. So if you go down through here, a lot of them are Japanese, actual Japanese people. But eventually, well, not even eventually, you usually very quickly get to person with non-Japanese name, and in Japanese it says, oh, that's so interesting, ha 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 ha, I'm laughing. And then if you go to their profile, they're in from Nigeria, of course. I guess this is still an actual real person. It's usually what you get is in their profile, it'll say, yeah, here we go. Brand builder, content architect, growth hacker. Joined February 2022, multi-chain, Web3. From the Nigerian App Store, thank you. It's literally just like a fucking bot. They always claim they're like part of Web3. They're always like, just like random responses to shit. It's just like a completely autonomous bot that has like some sort of AI setup where they reply to trending posts, and it seems like they're, you know, reposting like something that makes a vague amount of sense, but it's just like it's reading the content of other people's replies, and then just they're trying to get impressions. It's very sad. And this is like 70% of the comments of basically any trending post. And every single one of these accounts will have the blue check mark, right? Because they're trying to get money by having people look at their own impression, which you can get only if you are Twitter verified, i.e. have the blue check mark. Basically, Elon has created a system that promotes the usage of just like a shit ton of bots. So Twitter is just going to get worse and worse and worse unless they change this. But they're also desperate for money, so I don't think they care about the shitification of their own platform. Maybe BaalBud is just molding because he doesn't know how to hack growth. Well, considering I have 400,000 followers and that guy had like 100, most of which are bots, I'm sure. I think I can actually hack growth way better than him. What I wonder about is how much money do these people actually make from these impression bots that they have so many of? Like, do they, like, I don't know what it costs you to run a bot and what it costs for you to have a blue Twitter check mark. I think you have to pay into the blue Twitter check mark for something like $8 a month, $10 a month. So are these people really making more money paying for the cost of the botting and the server plus the Twitter check mark than what they get back from the impressions that they get from being a bot? I doubt that's the case, but he's always molding in some sense. I'm someone who's motivated by my hate of things instead of my love of things, so yes. If I'm not molding, that means I'm not being productive. Some of the Japanese users have been migrating between Miski and Blue Sky. It's been interesting in some sense. I don't know, man. I don't know where to go. The enshittification of everything is real. $8 or $4 for the check mark. I can't imagine these bot posts are making $8 back. I can't imagine it's profitable. Like, how much does it cost to run a bot? Do we have any botters in chat who know these things? Like, I don't understand what part you run and what part... Like, do you have to buy something? Do you need to your own, like, server? It's like chasing the lottery. It's a waste of money, but there's a chance you scam someone out of their entire savings. I mean, that's basically the entirety of Web3 at this point. Remember the concept of Web3, guys? I know you haven't heard that term in a long time, but if you go into these impression, you know, seeking bots, they all are like, I'm a Web3 creator still. Three-hour stream. It's because I'm actually being able to make progress on this. Now that I've like figured out my pen setup, I'm doing a much better job of making progress while drawing on stream. There are fewer variables I have to worry about. Like, I've figured out like every single which one of my pens, what I'm gonna use, which pen I'm gonna use in which situation. Fewer things to worry about makes everything more productive. More choices is not better. It's like min-max aesthetics, in my opinion. People have said that a lot, that I'm like in between the Western and Eastern styles of art. I never really have considered why it feels that way, but a lot of people say that. The art reflects the artist? Maybe. It bothers me when the jaw is too round or too anime style, and also bothers me if it's too Western style. Everything must be balanced perfectly, as Thanos said. Honestly, I should probably draw the text first before I draw a lot of the bodies. They tried to make Barb Bruce a thing. I think Bruce should be like a stereotypical billionaire and just get like a trophy wife. He'd probably be happier that way. Then he can ignore her. Whatever money she wastes of him will be nothing compared to the amount of money he wastes on getting like a new Batmobile every 5 episodes. So just get like a Melania type. Then he can be left alone. I don't like doing it like that. Kind of has that playboy persona that I guess is supposed to make people not suspect he's Batman. I mean, you can be a playboy persona with a trophy wife. Wait, is Elon married, for example? Is he just like... Does he just impregnate multiple women and never get married? I don't know how this works. Do we have any billionaires in chat? I want to know what your strategy for women is. Elon was married. We all just need to get rich, switch up on the gang, let the money change us, and forget who brought us up. If I had billions of dollars, I don't know what I would use it for. Billionaire here, I usually hit up your mom when I'm lonely. Shit. Does that mean when I'm hitting up your mom, you're at my mom's place? What a coincidence. Invest it to make more money. You don't need to spend money, you hoard it. See, this is kind of why the American society is so fucked up right now, is that rich people, like, they don't know, they have so much money now, they don't know what to do with it except use it to make more money. Buy a can of those butter cookies that usually get used to store sewing supplies. That'd be a good place to start spending your fortune. They are good. In Japan, they don't have like the same cookies as America. They're much like smaller. That's one of the few things that you can't get is American style cookies. Like Midwestern baked goods type cookies in Japan. Pretty much all the other food options are superior, but the cookies are one thing which you have difficulty to get. Also cheese. Smaller and crispier. Yeah, they're basically like butter biscuits is what I would call them in Japan. Shortbread, yeah. Oh shit, Hystrixia is one of the few people who can post links in chat. She's too powerful, chat. There's nothing we can do. If she starts posting horse cock porn in Twitch chat, there's nothing I can do to stop her. Feeling merciful today. The Force and horse cock image. Good night. I live in fear of all the Ball Buddy mods, all 2 of them. I don't think a mod has actually banned anybody in this chat except for like Gil Sellers for Final Fantasy XIV that shows up every once in a while. It's always like, are you interested in promoting your stream bot that shows up? Only bots get banned. We don't have enough viewers to actually go around banning people. I wish I was popular enough that I could just spend my time banning all my followers, but sadly, we are not in that level of supply in terms of viewers. Everyone in this chat seems chill. Unfortunately, the chat takes after the streamer, so unless I start doing like some Tyler 1 stuff where I start yelling constantly, we won't get the crazy people in chat. I'm too reasonable. I need to go full Lakari gooning mode. I learned recently in news about Twitch streamers that Lakari was caught with his notepad regarding his gooning material or something, And I was like, how is this ever news that a Twitch streamer is a gooner? I guess it was like the content of it. I don't understand why he had like a notepad. Can someone explain to me who understands like Twitch content, like why a guy would have a notepad with the porn he was looking at? I don't understand. Why do you need like a text app? Shouldn't you just be like using your browser history or something? Like, when do you use the text app for anything besides like, I don't know, copy pasting links or something? It's like being caught with a list of people you murdered. Yeah, it made no sense. Perhaps it was a CIA plant. Maybe self-analyzing to find connections between your spank material. I use my notes app for recipes, ideas, or manga list. I have considered in the past to keep a running tally of which doujins I jack off to the most, and like just like keep a number of how many times I've jacked off to this specific doujin to see who's like getting the most use. But I feel like I'd get bored of doing that after like the first 2 or 3 times. There's no way I could be, because like after you jack off, like you no longer have any interest in looking at porn pretty immediately. So I doubt I would be able to bother with pulling out my notepad app and like adding a number to the number of times I've jacked off to this doujin. That seems like very out of character for me. So I don't think I would actually do that. This is why we need to have Windows 11 AI features constantly screenshot our screen at all times and keep an AI ordered list of whatever we're doing so it can transmit information to Microsoft big data centers. We need our computer overlords to have this crucial information for what we're jacking off to. It's fun if you're the type that likes running experiments. It's very important. I know what type of personality I have, and I'm the type of personality of the guy who's been jacking off to the same content that he was jacking off to when he graduated high school, so 20 years ago. I literally keep on going back to the same doujins that I was jacking off to 20 years ago. They haven't aged a day. Bondage Fairies is so Kino, guys. Just kidding, I don't jack off to Bondage Fairies, but it's pretty close. Bondage Fairies is too pure for my tastes. I didn't even jack off to Bondage Fairies back in the day when it was like one of the 3 doujins you could find. It was a vastly inferior fap to Slut Girl, Alex in Sexland, and Evangeli Moon. Nuezo Zelda Doujin helps me spiritually. Notice how he mistyped Nuezo I got the spelling wrong, but I still know which doujin author he's talking about. Bondage Fairy's Baby's First Doujin. What is your baby's first doujin? I think it's like Slut Girl for the vast majority of people. I'd just like to point out that Slut Girl is a Japanese language pun that you will not understand unless you have like an N1 level in Japanese. Surato is a adjective that is used to describe like tall, leggy girls. The term slut does not exist in Japanese, but the author assumed that his readership, Japanese readership, would be well versed in American language enough that they would understand the pun. I don't know if he actually succeeded, but I remember back when he was portrayed submissive and breedable, less so in modern stuff. It's I don't know, man. I guess people get bored of like whatever fetish is popular, and then they have to like move on to the next thing. But I guess people got tired of the breedable femboy fetish, and now they have moved on to the full NTR fetish, in which they imagine the breedable femboy fucking their Fate Grand Order waifu and NTRing her with his massive femboy cock or whatever. I guess that's where we are now. Zeton was my first true one. I remember the first Zeton doujin I saw, and it was the one in which, in a post-apocalyptic future, a guy with like a cybernetic diving suit that's plugged directly into his spine goes into like the wasteland ocean or whatever, and he finds Octopus Girl, lowly Octopus Chan, and fucks her and inseminates her octopus eggs. I think that is literally the first Zeton doujin that we found online. I haven't found anything older than that. And after that, like, he really started to gain speed with like the Bat Girl and his Centaur Girls, but I do think that was his first one. I don't know what he's doing right now. I think he's become too successful, and now he's like doing character designs for non-porn shit or something like that. I can't remember. Zeton is notable because he draws rib cage. He makes the girls thin, and then he gives them like very visible rib cage lines. So if you like the stick body type, he's one of the few people who really commits to the stick, which is not as common as you might think. I'm wondering if I should put like some sort of a heart or spade on her face or something. Delicate looking girls, yeah. They look like you could break them in half if you're not careful, usually. People tend to go overboard on the titties and stuff, so if you like thin girls, it's actually hard to find them. Porn always draws women bigger than they actually are, unless it's explicitly lowly stuff. On the other hand, if we're going by American body types, then it's actually too thin considering how fat Americans are. This is where I have to rant about Americans being overweight all the time. Again. Save the rant and end the stream so you can crank more. I didn't jack off yesterday. I decided yesterday that I was going to let my penis rest. As we grow older, we need to make sure we have specific rest days. Dick was observing the Sabbath? Yes. Sometimes you have to not ejaculate as a man. I remember in college when I was, even in my mid-20s, I was already being like, man, I used to jack off so much, but now I can feel myself getting older and I'm slowing down. And then one of my swim team buddies in my Japanese college was like, yeah, I totally understand you, bro. How many times do you jack off per week? And I'm like, 7. And he's like, bro, that's every day. I'm like, yeah, that's normal, right? And he's like, no. I'm like, oh, okay. How can that not be normal, guys? I poop every day and I also jack off every day. That's just like your bodily functions. I think it's just good to have, like, consistent schedule for everything. Damn, I really was actually able to make a lot of progress on this image while streaming and talking. It shows I'm getting better. It shows that I can kind of see what I'm drawing better even while only maintaining, like, half levels of concentration. Very promising signs. I want to double up this line here or not. Your power level is increasing? It really is, actually. It would be a problem if it wasn't, honestly, but because I'm still not really at that pro level in terms of like speed and stuff. In terms of quality, I think I can make like semi-pro level content, but one of my big mistakes that I can never stop myself from doing, if we're going to talk about the torso for 1 second, is we have to remember that if we have the skeletal like this, here's the rib cage, here's the spine and stuff. If we have we're talking about the torso, we have to remember that we have this center muscle. So what I often do is that the pelvic structure creates these hooks based on the skeleton, and then I try and go like this, and there is one of these like U shape that comes from the side, these hooks that come from the pelvis, but that's not like the muscle structure. The muscle structure is like this shape in the center, and you get the abs like this. And the navel is like just a little bit above usually the pelvic hooks right here. And then there's this like extra layer of fat right here, but like you really need to emphasize like this part right here going to the crotch. I often forget that, because I often like go for the pelvic hooks right here, and I try and make it like one, which is what I was just doing right there. See, I was using this line here and like connecting it over here, but they're two separate things. You're already above most American comic pros. I mean, who cares? Those guys are barely making a living. Same thing for Japanese. The thing about Japanese comic pros is like it doesn't really matter as much that you're good at art, because you're expected to provide like a total entertainment package, and the art is just like a single part of that. It's kind of like, this is actually my theory on artistic ability when it comes to manga. It's like, and as long as you're in this center area, then you're good to go. But it means it's like you're at a baseline level in which people can like focus on the story or the characters or whatever. They're not distracted. That's like the word here, it's distracting. If you're in the distracting zone, then people are just like, yeah, I can't do this, and they won't even read your shit. And if you get up here, I'm sure you can think of like a few manga artists where you feel like that, where it's like, I just enjoy looking at the art so much that I don't care if like the story makes no fucking sense. I think there's a lot of characters like that. That the rent in Japan is more sane probably helps. Yes, I mean, it's kind of insane. Like, it's not that the Japanese rent is low, it's that American rent is insanely high. Those are two different things, right? I paid 80,000 yen for this month's rent. And that's expensive, so I'll probably be moving to a place where the rent is cheaper. But for now, it's fine. Canada blows as well right now. It's rough. You'd think that Japan would have like way higher rent and housing costs and stuff like that because the amount of land in which they have available to build on is way less. But it really hasn't turned out that way. Like, they actually build new apartments and I don't know. You can find places to live in Japan. It's fine. It's not a big deal at all, actually. Alright, guys. I am going to end the stream here. I streamed for 3 hours. How many hours did I stream for? 3 hours and 3.5 hours. Good for me. I actually made progress on my drawing. See you around, boys. Good night. Good night. Bye.